Democrats are ramping up the pressure on the Trump administration to bring back Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to a maximum security prison in El Salvador with virtually no due process. Representatives Robert Garcia, Maxwell Frost, Yasmin Ansari, and Maxine Dexter are in El Salvador today, where they are hoping to raise awareness, arguing that this issue is bigger than just one person.
This is a line he has crossed in the sand. We cannot allow him to continue. We've got to move this back. And this issue is more than about Kilmar. It's about due process in the U.S., and it's about following what the Supreme Court is saying.
We all should be terrified by the idea that anyone could be taken and put away in another country and then abstain from saying that they have any accountability for bringing them home.
This is on behalf of my constituents. I'm not the type of legislator to wait till something gets to the point where it's, so bad we can't do anything about it. Now's the chance. Now's the time to take a stand and say this is not right.
Those lawmakers were hoping to meet with Abrego Garcia as well as some of the others who were detained. But as of this afternoon, that request was denied by the Salvadoran government because their trip was not an official visit. Now, of course, it's important to note that it was the House Republicans who have the majority who declined to arrange an official visit in the first place. This all comes on the heels of a legal standoff over the weekend, which led to a middle-of-the-night ruling from the Supreme Court on Saturday that temporarily blocked the administration's efforts to deport more Venezuelan nationals under the Alien Enemies Act. Joining me now is Vaughn Hilliard, NBC News White House correspondent, and Skye Perryman, president and CEO of Democracy Forward. Skye, I gotta come to you right out of the gate. Just for full disclosure, I spent a lot of time talking to Skye, just to wrap my head around a lot of this stuff right now. You have Trump posting on Truth Social earlier saying, quote, "I'm doing what I was elected to do, remove criminals from our country, but the courts don't seem to want me to do that," end quote. Is he missing the due process part of this thing, which is why the courts are having an issue here? In every one of these instances, I've been trying to help people understand the importance of that due process piece, that yes, this is not about whether or not Abrego Garcia is a criminal, MS-13 is the Al Capone of the 21st century, right? Or if he's Mother Teresa. It's about whatever role you ascribe to him under our Constitution, he's still due process.
Well, and I think the American people are understanding that, which is why you're seeing so many people pushing back. You're even seeing folks like Joe Rogan saying that he has a concern about what's happening in this moment. This is a situation that should concern all of us. And the president has forgotten the due process part, but I think he's also maybe forgotten the law enforcement part. If he was confident, of course, that people had committed crimes, that people did not belong in the United States, there are a range of lawful immigration enforcement mechanisms that this president can use. But he has not wanted to do that. He's wanted to sidestep those processes and instead remove people from the country without process. That is something that we saw Judge Harvey Wilkinson, who is a judicial conservative on the Fourth Circuit, talk about last week in an opinion, a very moving opinion about the stakes. It is something that you've seen 9 justices of the Supreme Court earlier say people can't be removed without process. And then, of course, over the weekend, late into Friday night, early Saturday morning, you see the Supreme Court having to again step in to stop the removal of people because this is an administration that is not respecting the rights of people and they're not respecting the rule of law.
So, Vaughn, you have an interesting little moment with respect to this delegation that's down. The Democrats are down there. I just want to recall, as I know you covered it, Republicans had their own official delegation that went to the country last week to visit the notorious maximum security prison and express their support for Trump's deportation policies. And yet you have Axios reporting that after traveling to El Salvador, the GOP was blocking them, noting, citing the 2 Democrats' active hostility to his investigations of the Biden administration's border policies. Comer called the request absurd. If you also wish to meet with him, you can spend your own money, but I will not approve a single dime of taxpayer funds for use on the excursion you have requested, he wrote. Help us understand the difference.
The issue is for any member of Congress, I think, Michael, right now, is the fact that this afternoon I had a conversation with Eduardo Deboyin Raul. He is a man who's lived for the last 2 years in El Paso. He came in legally into the United States after living in Mexico for a year, waiting for approval through the parole program offered under the Biden administration. And he was detained, and he was on that bus on Friday night that was headed to the airport at Abilene to be deported, and the guards told him to go to El Salvador. There's a reality right now that I could not have had a conversation like I did this afternoon with him from his ICE detention facility if it were not for the courts having intervened and stepped in to stop these deportation flights. Why do we bring up Eduardo? Because we can't have communication with Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We can't have conversations with Andre and others that these Democratic members of Congress are going, seeking to have conversations with individuals that were sent away from the United States. They don't have access to those individuals. This individual, Eduardo, who I talked to this afternoon, could have been that. And why is this an issue? Because ICE, DHS, and the White House, despite my request for the last 3 days to provide any evidence that he is, in fact, affiliated with Trendia Aragua, they have provided zero evidence. He denies it. His wife denies it. Outside of the tattoos that they ascribe to being related to the gang, he has no criminal record. It is a serious question, and he has not had the chance to go before an immigration judge.
So is that